what I'm saying, coaching the thinking of the other person. So let's get some examples up here on the board. If I'm working with a teacher and I say to that teacher, boy, that lesson plan went really well, where would that come under these 5 categories? It's a judgment, okay. If I say there were 2 students who raised their hands for 3 of your questions, where does that come on this? It could be personal observation, but it's also data. That's hard data. That's what I saw. I saw 2 students raise their hands for 3 questions. Yeah, I could say your students are really having a problem with division. Where would that come in? That's really an inference. Very good. That's certainly based on personal observation, but I'm inferring that their problem is based on one thing. If I say, well, the reflective mediative questions, we're going to know right away because they're questions. Because they're questions. The point that I wanted to make with this is this. A lot of times teachers are looking for us to tell them what went well and what didn't go well, or what's, as they talk to us, what's a good thing that they're doing or what's a bad thing that they're doing. And judgment is 2 sides of one coin, but it's a judgment. If in fact we're giving evaluative feedback, what we need to understand is not only are we not coaching, we're literally inhibiting the higher order thinking, physiologically inhibiting the higher order thinking of the other person. Because what we're saying within that conversation is, I am the person who can evaluate this situation. Whether I'm evaluating it as good or evaluating it as bad, I'm taking that authority onto myself. And so the other person's response to that typically is, okay, I don't have to judge it because this person knows how to judge it well. Let me give you an example of that kind of helped me to understand it more. A mother and a little boy went to the grocery store, and she said to him, you need to behave yourself and I'll give you an ice cream cone. They came out of the store and the little boy said, was I good? Very simple scenario. Mothers run into that all day long. If the mother answers that question, what's she doing? She's taking away from that child his responsibility to determine or to think about whether his behavior was good or bad. So a better response would be, well, what do you think? Well, I think I was pretty good. I never knew a kid who said I was pretty bad in there, ever. Or an adult, actually, if you got an ice cream cone on the line. She's taking away from him not only the authority to evaluate what he did, but also the responsibility to evaluate and to know whether what he did was at an acceptable level of behavior. So think about this when you're interacting with adults. And think about if a teacher, and this is a struggle that we have, and I said something about it earlier, one of the biggest barriers to using some of the coaching skills that we've been talking about is the teacher's expectation that when an expert, a consultant, comes to her classroom door, that person is going to provide her with the answers that she is seeking. But if we allow ourselves to get pulled into those conversational structures, what we're doing is literally physically keeping her from reaching higher levels of thinking and problem solving. So if we tell her what went well and what didn't go well with her lesson, if we tell her that, if we get into a lot of conversation about what we saw in one observation while we were in there, if we start making inferences about what worked and what didn't work and responding to her questions regarding that, we're falling into that evaluation. And we're basically saying to her, you don't have the skill to do this. I can tell you what was going on there. Some people will say you have to be careful with data. If I start giving her data about I saw 2 kids do this and that I'm getting close to doing that. So as we talk about, again, to be a good coach, you're looking at inquiry, you're looking at probing, even perhaps when you're paraphrasing, what you're doing is doing reflective, mediative questions that invite the other person to be the one who has the ability to solve the problem, to tap into their own creativity, that their thinking is more valuable in their situation than yours is. That's how you're inviting their thinking to be at a higher level. So, you have cards on your table. What I would like you to do is to write 5 sentences on your card. They don't necessarily have to be across the 5 categories. Just write 5 sentences. You're going to pair up with someone else and talk about what those sentences are. They need to be varied a little bit, not just in one of the areas. Say again? Something that you would say to a teacher regarding a classroom situation, especially where there is some problem solving to be done. There's an issue to solve, there's a problem with a student, and we're looking for a better way, and what's a type of feedback you might give to that teacher across these 5. Read one statement and ask the partner to tell you which category, looking for agreements or disagreements, and then the partner read back to you. So share 10 statements with each other and categorize them. And then I will ask you to share some with a larger group. Blank faces when I gave you this charge. If you can hear me, raise your hand. If you can hear me, raise your hand. Thanks. Of all the exercises you've done today, and I could see some of your sort of deer in the headlight looks when I handed this off to you. I'm hoping that this is one that you can take away with you, because for me it's been a watershed formula, venue, whatever, for me to kind of get an understanding about ways that I've been interacting with teachers that are over on the evaluation side. It's just so easy. It's a part of our natural way, especially if somebody's struggling with a problem. You want to start by telling them what you see that's positive. And I don't want you to think that it's like, this is the good side and this is the dark side over here. It's not quite that bad. You just need to be intentional. You need to understand the consequences of if you're going in and making all the judgments yourself, which teachers sometimes love. You're taking away from them the ability to go deeper in their own thinking. Who would like to share statements that were judgments? Yes?
That was a good intervention.
Great. Another. Yes?
I'm really judgmental. You should have redirected the student instead of ignoring the issue.
Okay, judgments can be on the negative side. That's good. We go to the positive because people don't understand that as much. But there's 2 sides to it. All right, how about personal observation? Yes?
I had a challenge challenge with this one because it felt like anything I came up with for personal observation could also fall into the category of either judgment or data.
Yes. Yeah, and we talked about that. And I think that's true, and it's almost like, does personal observation belong up there? But I think there are a lot of times when people think that what they're giving is a personal observation, or think that what they're giving is a data piece, but it's not a data piece, it's a personal observation. And so you have to think really hard about what is data that's just clearly data. There's no other implication of good or bad, but it's just clear data. And it's also true that data could easily move over and be evaluative, because if you're talking about your limited experience with what the teacher deals with all the time, and you're taking one little piece of data out of that to say something to her, that in and of itself may not be very good data, because it's not part of a bigger picture. It's just this little skinny piece of data. So data is hard, in my opinion, up here. Personal observation may also be hard, because it almost seems like everything you say is a personal observation. Does anybody have a sentence that they want to give out as an example of a personal observation? Yes?
I noticed that it seems to get on your nerves.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit of inference there, but that's a good one, yes.
It seems like you've already tried a lot of options with the students.
Okay, good. Okay, and then inference. Both of those had some inference in them as well. So you see these categories are not like totally mutually exclusive, which gets back to, it's not like good, bad. That's not kind of the intent. The intent is to be intentional and to understand. Inference. Who's got an inference statement? Yes?
Tommy throws the blocks because he is sleep deprived.
Okay, that's a real clear inference. And actually probably not very well-founded one. So good. All right. How about data? Who has a statement that's clear data? A little bit tougher, maybe. Yes?
I saw the student get out of their seat 5 times during the 30-minute class.
Great. Starting it with I saw. So then you're taking some ownership over, maybe that isn't everything that was going on. A teacher might respond to that by saying, well, he was supposed to get up and go do his pencil or whatever, which is fine. But what you saw was he was up 5 times. Perfect. Anybody else have a data one? Yes? Somebody have their hand up here? Yes.
You praised the girls 3 times and the boys 8 times during calendar.
Good one. Because gender preference is often an issue in a classroom. Good. Okay, and then reflective mediative questions. Who's got some good examples of those? It's the end of the day. Tell me you can give a good reflective question. Yes?
How do you think Tilly did?
Great, yes. Yes?
How could you have included your visually impaired students better at the end of that activity?
Okay, let me reword that for you. Not better. What are some ways that you can continue to include? Good. That's a good one, yes.
What would it look like if this concern were changed?
Okay. Okay, if it were to change. Good. Okay. I was saying to Mandy, this may not totally make sense to you, but this whole day's workshop, from talking to Sherry and having maybe not a totally clear idea of who you all were and what you did, started for me with this. Because this is a huge piece for me of understanding why coaching, why cognitive coaching, and the consequences, both positive and negative, but mostly positive, of understanding these concepts and being able to be intentional in your communications with another person. All of the things that we've talked about today are pieces out of this cognitive coaching. And I really hope that as you have gone through the day, that you would take a piece of it and then go look up some more information about it. There is so much out there. And it is powerful, powerful stuff, particularly in relation to our profession. And particularly in relation to those of us who are in special education and are providing services that are almost always not just to children but also to adults, in terms of making real differences in people's lives, in terms of understanding I can build some skills in myself that will make a difference in the future in how adults can be more successful and children can be more successful. So for me, this is a little bit of a passion, you can tell, but there's a lot of pieces to it, and I hope that we have challenged you in positive ways today, and that moving forward, these are things you can use. All right, skip the next and go to the one that's, oh, okay.
Yes, no?
Yes, go one more. There. Oh, now just click until those are all filled in. Okay, so this is what we've been talking about. A coach uses data and questions to enable the teacher to make judgments, personal observations, and inferences about his or her teaching. We're getting really close on time. Do you need time for people to do evaluations and things? This is not short, so maybe we just move on. Oh. Yeah. Okay, one more. Okay. One more card at your table. On a card, write this. I will use this skill, and there's room for maybe 3, maybe 1, whatever works for you, to mediate the thinking, and let's not even worry about at least 2 teachers, to mediate the thinking of another when I leave here. I will use this skill to increase the mediated thinking of another in the next month. And we're going to let you share this, so be forewarned. Share some of those verbally if you would care to, and then kind of be done for the day. I do have a last slide that asks if you have any questions. I want to give you about 30 seconds for that. Okay, who has a thought that they would like to share, that they think they could commit to doing this in the next month? Anybody? Yes?
Taking time to pause, listen, reflect.
It is amazing how much that seems to slow down conversation. I know a lot of you have had kids that have a time delay. You need to give them 3 seconds or 5 seconds to respond. That's an eternity in a classroom. Okay, anybody else? Have any skill that they're going to try in the next month that they'd care to share with the group? Yes?
I said paraphrasing. I thought it could serve as a bunch of different functions for myself to make sure I had a clear understanding of what I was hearing from the person that I'm working with, and
Yes.
then also for the teacher to maybe have some awareness, or the person I'm working with, some awareness of maybe how they're portraying themselves. So I thought
Yes.
it would be nice for my own insight and for maybe
Kind of a mirror back to them. Yes, great. Okay.
Mirroring someone, I'm curious if it will help ease some of the tense staff meetings we have.
Okay.
You're hoping one of those skills
Great.
is going to make those meetings a little less tense.
Yes.
And what I find is if I'm trying to think about rapport, if nothing else, I'm more aware of my own body postures that get closed and opening them up a little bit. Yeah. Great. Anybody else? One more shot. Yes.
Respond with feedback in question format.
Okay. Good. All right. Any questions? One last shot at us. I know, your brains are full. I should have put in there the far side that said, Miss Brown, may I be excused? My brain is full. Okay, thank you very much. Do have a great week.